So, a lot of people are wondering what is going on with Nintendo. There's been no Nintendo Direct this month. They've announced a delay with Metroid. There was a random release date for Yoshi. What is going on? I am a firm believer that we are still getting a Nintendo Direct this month, which is a crazy thing to say, I know, because January is almost at the end. But I do have a few good reasons as to why this could happen. So I kind of want to go through these with you guys and then, see how much you guys disagree with me or maybe agree with me. Who knows? But yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Nintendo's third quarter financial meeting is coming up next week. It's happening on January 31st, which is the last day of the month, obviously, which is Thursday next week. And usually at these meetings, they usually go over, their earnings, as of their 9-month earnings in the fiscal year. But they also like to be able to give some confidence to their shareholders, to people who own stock in Nintendo. And if they have pretty much no upcoming news to talk about, that's not going to look good for their, all those financially invested people. All we really know about right now is that Kirby and Yoshi are coming out in March, and that Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem and Pokemon are coming out this year, but we don't really know anything about those games. I mean, and Luigi's Mansion, that's also coming out this year, and we really know nothing about it. So, not only do they need to talk about this kind of stuff for the fans, but this is going to look really bad for their, their stockholders, their shareholders, whatever the word is, if they don't have news to talk about. And if they have a Nintendo Direct next week, say maybe Tuesday on the 29th, the iron's going to be hot. People are going to be super positive about Nintendo, provided they actually have a good Direct, which I think they will. If they actually have a good Direct, the iron will be hot. People will be positive about Nintendo, and then the meeting will happen, and then, it's not enough time for people to sit down and maybe nitpick away at the Direct if there are things to nitpick at. So having a Direct next week financially would just make a lot of sense for Nintendo. Now, I do think that this Metroid cancellation, or at least, not cancellation, but major delay, does kind of play into the whole Nintendo Direct thing. I think this was actually pretty spot on timing for the announcement of this. Of course, Metroid was announced at E3 2017, so about a year and a half ago. And, if they were going to show off Metroid, I think now would have been a good time to do it, if they were satisfied with the product. A year and a half, that's plenty of time, and maybe it was in development before that announcement. It probably was. But a year and a half, at least, is a good amount of time to get, a game ready to show. And maybe they were getting ready to show it in a Direct that might have happened earlier this month, but they realized they just weren't satisfied with what they had, and decided to restart it, and then make, that video where Shinya Takahashi, I think it was, I could be getting the name wrong, I'm super sorry if I am, it's early in the morning, but when he did that video explaining the delay on Metroid Prime 4, that could have been recorded in the same session as the recording for a Nintendo Direct, because as you guys know, these are pre-recorded and then aired live, so that could have been recorded at the same time for all we know. And all I'm trying to say is maybe the game was in a showable state. The game had reached a far enough point in development to show off, but they weren't satisfied with what they had as a product. So that's when they decided, you know what, we got to just redo this. So I have a feeling that this is an announcement that happened almost day and date with the decision that they made to kind of restart this. Maybe I have a feeling this decision was made at least this month. So I think the timing is kind of spot on there, and then they realized, okay, well, Metroid is such a big thing, we can't show a Nintendo Direct before we actually are transparent about this Metroid news. Because if they showed a Direct without Metroid news, I'm sure they would have been getting a lot of questions, not only from their fans, but from their shareholders at their investor meeting. So I think getting this out of the way is proving even more likely for a Nintendo Direct in the near future. So now, I want to talk about Yoshi again. Now, we did just get that random trailer, the story trailer, that showed the release date for Yoshi's Crafted World, and we also got the release date for Kirby. But more so talking about Yoshi, there's still a lot that they can show about that game. Because Kirby, of course, is a port. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. That's a port. We already know what that game is all about. But with Yoshi, I mean, they showed the beginning cutscene, but they really didn't show much else. I mean, we got a little glimpse of the world map, but there's still a lot I feel like they can show us with that game. So, you know, just knowing the release... I mean, Smash Ultimate, we got the release date for that back at E3, and there were still tons that they showed us throughout the year. So, just because we know the release date doesn't mean that that is necessarily the final new footage we're going to see. So, I definitely think that there's more that they can show off about Yoshi, and just the fact that we already got a trailer for Yoshi doesn't lessen the likelihood of a Nintendo Direct, in my opinion. And, you know, even if it did, we've still got Luigi's Mansion, we've still got Fire Emblem, we've still got... Animal Crossing. Pokemon Gen 8, I think, will be something that the Pokemon Company handles on their own. They usually do that, you know, just their own separate thing. They usually have their own direct. They like to release information when they feel like it, not necessarily coinciding with Nintendo. But, you know, with Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, and Luigi's Mansion, those are some big games that, of course, even if we did know everything that we need to know about Yoshi, there's still plenty of things that they can fill a direct with, so... And finally, the last thing I want to bring up... actually, sorry, there's two more things I want to bring up. I'm just looking at my notes. There's two more things I want to bring up. Piranha Plant! Like, version 2.0 is coming out for Smash Ultimate very soon. It's been announced, and they're saying, hey, save your replays because they're going to become invalid. So we know 2.0 is dropping very soon. And, I mean, Piranha Plant's got to be coming soon too, right? They said, get your game registered by January 31st, because Piranha Plant is coming out in February. So if Piranha Plant is dropping soon, then I feel like that's something that they're going to want to talk about in a direct. When is the exact date that it's dropping? This is the first Smash Ultimate DLC character. I mean, I guess so. It's the pre-order bonus, but, you know, it's the first new character being added to the game. They're going to want to talk about this. I don't think that we're going to be seeing Joker, though. I feel like that's more of a spring thing. I feel like when it got announced at the Game Awards, like, they had just figured out that Joker was going to be in the game and just didn't have time to put together a Smash trailer, because Sakurai even said himself he wasn't in a playable state yet. So I don't think we're going to see Joker quite yet, but Piranha Plant, we definitely need to, you know, get a release date on that. That would be a big direct announcement. And now, sorry, here's the last thing I want to talk about. And this is with the data mining that's happened with the NES Online app. Something like, I think it was like 22 Super Nintendo games, 2022, I forget exactly, but around 20 Super Nintendo games have been data mined from the NES Online app, and not only that, but descriptions have been found in the code for each of these games. This just tells me that these are ready to drop sooner rather than later. Nintendo has definitely probably heard the complaints. Like, there's no way that they don't know that, like, people aren't satisfied with the NES Online app, and they want at least Super Nintendo games. I mean, GameCube games would be the dream, but I think they'd have to charge a little more than $20 bucks a year for GameCube games. But Super Nintendo games, I feel like that still fits in that $20 value. So I feel like they've heard the complaints. I mean, if you see any of their videos that they've done on their YouTube channel about the NES Online app, it's just flooded with dislikes. So the writing's on the wall. I think they kind of, you know, all right, guys, we got to get Super Nintendo games on there, and they're kind of, you know, putting this on there maybe sooner than they were planning. But I think that this is definitely another sign of, you know, we need to have a direct, because this is a big thing that they're going to talk about. And if they do have Super Nintendo games announced in a Nintendo Direct, that's just another positive announcement. I think there's a lot to talk about in a possible Nintendo Direct. But let me know what you guys think. That's all I pretty much had to say. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you do agree with me, if you enjoyed anything I had to say. And make sure you follow the channel for more on maybe a Nintendo Direct next week. Who knows? This is just my personal thoughts and other Nintendo goodness. Alright, see you later, guys. Bye.